If you are an AI automation agency, or if you're just building automations in general, you might have heard to the term APIs. APIs can be quite confusing in general and quite be frustrating to actually get used to it. In this whole video, we're going to discuss every single topic about what are APIs, what are the different type of API calls you can make, how to use those APIs, how to use those APIs into a specific variable. Without wasting any time, let's get into it. What are APIs? Now, APIs can also be known as application programming interface. Now, it kind of sounds like very programmatical or like very technical. In simple terms, APIs are nothing but a medium through which software speaks with each other. So, what I basically mean is that when I'm speaking to someone via phone, to another person, I'm sending my information through my mouth with the help of the phone, that the phone is my API. Just like their software use APIs to send their information to different databases and get information to different databases. And this is how API actually framework will look like. So a software will make a request with the help of API to another database, and then we'll get a response back with the help of API from the database. Now there are several different type of API calls that you can make. So there are specifically 4 type of most famous API calls that usually people make. There's going to be get, put, post, and delete. Now, the most used one is like usually get and post calls. And if you understand that, you're going to be able to make any API calls easily with the help of their documentation. So what is a get call? Now, get call is just allows us to pull information from different databases, whereas post call is just adding those information at different databases. Now, get call, you can, in simple terms, you can say taking information from databases for your own need. For example, if you have your order history literally in a Google document, you can just get that information by making a get call. And if you would like to update a record in your Google Sheets, like for example, if you'd like to add in, let's say a person buys something from you, but you would like to automatically add it into your Google Sheets, you can make a post call to make it automatically with the help of softwares. So, and put is basically updating the existing records that you have. So, and delete is self-explanatory. It deletes the record via the API call. Now we'll learn how to make API calls. Now there is a platform that I use to make those API calls and test how APIs actually work, is named as Postman. Now this is one of the best platform to learn how to make APIs and check whether if your API is working correctly or not. Now you can go find it on Google. Now this is how the dashboard of the API will look like, of the Postman.com will look like. Now we're gonna make a get call to this system, the different system. Now I created a database, a fake database on Airtable. It contains the name of the people, the email, order. This is order ID, order number, and their tracking URLs as well. So I'm just going to change it. Now we're going to make an get call to specifically Airtable with the help of Postman API. Now Postman just allow us to check whether our API module is working perfectly or not, or is there any errors or not. So what we're going to do is head over to airtable.com. Now you can see, you will be able to see everything over here perfectly organized. Now the first step of making the API call will be reading the documentation, because without reading the documentation, you cannot make an API call to a specific software. So the first step of learning API calls is to actually read the documents. Well, don't worry, it's not going to be very tough part, because I know a lot of people don't like to read, but it's very simple. So as you can see, this is a database that I have. Now I'm going to search Airtable API documents. Here it will show me everything. So what you need to do is you have to go into the Airtable API documentation. Now 99% of the programs in 2024 will have an API documentation, of course, because they need to connect with other softwares. Well, here you need to search for get record, because we are getting record by making a request to Airtable from external sources, right? So we need to understand how their API documentation works. Now, the reason why we are learning about, we are reading the documentation is every single API requests are different in another software. For example, in some softwares, authentication or API keys can be different, or in some softwares, making API calls can be different. So reading the documentation allows us to build it very fast. Now, as you can see, this is the get record documentation of Airtable. Now here you can see that there's a example record that is given right over here, right? But you don't have to worry because I mean if I'm looking at for the first time I will get confused as well. But we just need to do is use this URL. So what is this URL? So whenever you're making an API call, there will be a URL that allows us to connect with the software. So this URL will basically will copy this URL, right? And we'll study this URL. So this URL basically tell me to https airtable.com. So I'm going to head over to Postman API. I'm going to create a new request, right? And since we are making a GET request, so I'm going to keep it to GET only. And I'm going to paste that URL over here. Now, this URL already tells me that what I need, okay? But sometimes you may not need it. There are some extra things that which is not necessary to do. So I'm going to remove this part because we don't necessarily need it. What we need is the base ID, right? So api.airtable.com, that is correct, but what we need is the base ID. Now how are you supposed to find it? So what you can do is head over to the base that you have already. Now here when you see all the way above there, you will be able, this is the base ID, right? You can find it anywhere other places, but this is like the very easy to find in Airtable. So you'll be able to copy that out from here. Right, now head back to Postman API and just paste it right after this. Now you got half of the things done. Now if you go back to the Airtable documentation, you will be see it asks for an authorization and your token. So what do you mean by authorization? Now authorization is basically the API keys that is necessary, right? So the API key is the API token. Now there are in other softwares there are different type of API keys, but in Airtable we have bearer API key. So how are you supposed to find the API key? So what you're going to do is head over to Airtable. Now if you are unable to find an API key for a specific software, you can just go and identify which go to Google, ask ChatGPT, okay, how can I find that API key for this specific software, or you can search on YouTube. There will be always a video about that. In Airtable, if you go there now, click on your ID, profile ID, and there should be a Builder Hub. Now when you go to the Builder Hub, you will be able to see the API key. Now since they have turned off the API key, they named it as personal access token. Now you're going to create a new token, right? And that should be named as you can name it as anything like that. So API key, I'm going to add scope. Now make sure to select every single one of them. Now what are these, right? So this gives permission for us to the APIs to make any type of API call that we want. So if you like to read, if you like to edit those cells or records, so anything as you like. So but I'm going to select every single one of them because we don't want any issues right now. And I'm going to select every one of them. So perfect. And I'm going to select the one that we have. So this is my database. I've selected my database. Now I'm going to create the token. Now I will get the API token. I will copy this. So make sure that you copy it always instantly and you paste it somewhere safe because it's not going to be visible after once. And what you're going to do is head over to Postman again. Now here, you're going to copy the same thing that the authorization said. So if you can see, the authorization say bearer and your token over here. Now I'm going to go to Postman, authorization, and auth type is bearer, right? So I'm going to select bearer token and I'm just going to paste the API key that we had. So that is it. Now what I'm going to do is just click on send and I should be able to get everything what we wanted. And let's see if this actually works or not. And it works perfectly. I am getting a full record over here. So as you can see, I got a full record on my API with the help of, so I made an Airtable request within just 5 minutes right now, right? And it didn't took me any hard time. Okay, now you can do it even with ease. So let's say you're not understanding the documentation, or like you're not understanding where to add this or where to add that, because some of the software can be complicated, right? Some of the APIs can be complicated. So what you're going to do is head over to Postman, create a new one. Now copy the whole curl response. Now whenever you see a curl or response, okay, so whenever you see a curl response, copy the whole curl response and then head over. Now in the Postman API, you will be able to see import. Now click on import and paste the whole curl response over here. So, and that will automatically add everything by your own self. You don't necessarily have to do it anything. So as you can see, this is the base ID and this is the authorization. Now make sure the authorization will always go in the headers because you are making it with the help of curl, right? So the if you see any authorization in any software, but you might be thinking, okay, I just added an authorization and with the in the import button, I'm not able to see it in the authorization section. Don't worry, it will be in the header section. So here authorization bearer, your token is over here. Now what you're going to do is paste the same token that we had. So I'm going to paste it right over here. And okay, my bad. Here, and I'm gonna paste it over here, and I'm gonna delete this unnecessary part, and I'm gonna paste the base ID, which I just told you where you can find it. And I'm gonna head over to Postman. I'm gonna paste it right over here because it told me to actually paste it right after the base ID. Okay, now I'm gonna send a request and let's see if this works or not. And it works perfectly. Awesome. Yeah, lovely. So now one more thing that you might be wondering, how if I'm getting so many responses at a single time, I would like to just get only one specific response. Like for example, if you're making order tracking for Shopify stores, you might be wondering, I would like to ask that person about their order number, their order ID, and then I would like to show them their, tracking URL and their other email addresses, blah blah. So you can do it very simple way, okay? Now, how you can do it is, what you're going to do is write filter by formula. So known as filter by formula. So what it will do is it will basically search for the whole response for specific ID over here. So these are the IDs. We can call it variable as well. So it will search with the help of a specific variable if that variable matches the given number or not. So what are we going to do is let's type the order number. So order number, and let's select a random one from here, okay? Because we got every single record that we had as a response from the API, but we do not need every single one of them. We just want to show a specific one. So let's select this one. Now this, for example, this is just a fake information. It's not going to work for you. And you're going to type order number in the value and filter by formula, and you're going to click equal to, and make sure to cover those in quotations because you don't want to see any errors. Now I'm gonna send that request and let's see if it shows me a specific record or not. Okay. Now perfect. As you can see, it is showing me only one specific record instead of showing everyone. There is nothing. I'm scrolling down. Okay. So this is how you can add filters on top of to search for a specific ID, or let's say if you're searching in Shopify, but yeah, in Shopify, what you can do is there will be a different way. For example, in Shopify, if you are looking for a specific order, you need to Google search for a specific order ID. Now, how to add two filters? Because okay, adding one filter is really simple, okay, but adding two filters is quite bit complicated. Even I don't know the formula, so I'm just gonna ask ChatGPT. I'm gonna say to ChatGPT, so I'm making filter by formula and order. And that is exactly which we needed. Okay, so what we're gonna do is copy from here and we're gonna paste it. We're gonna go back to Postman API and head over to the filter by formula. Now we're gonna paste that over here, and we're just gonna change it to the thing that we have it. So order number is going to be 3006, I guess. Yeah, 3006. Oh, my bad. Okay. Order number is going to be 3006, and the email address should be the one that is mentioned right there. So I'm gonna copy that real quick if I can be able to do that as well. Yeah, I just copied this and I'm gonna paste it right over here. So this is the email address. So I copied the order number, that is this, and email address is this. Now I need to make sure that whenever I make this call, and make sure to cover back in the curls, and let's see if it is correct or not. And as you can see, I got the response perfectly. Now, if I make any single error, like let's say if the person that is giving a fake order number, I will type a fake number right over here, and let's see if this works perfectly or not. Number lock, and let's see. Yeah, so there is no records given. I will not receive any records because there is no ID similar to this number. But if I search for 3006, 3006, that is the order number for that specific lady or James. I'm going to click on send, and I'm going to receive an order that is specifically to that user. This is how you can make an API call to Airtable easily with the help of get. Now, we just discussed about how to make get calls. One more thing that I forgot to discuss. Now, since you've seen everything perfectly correct right now, you might be wondering what is this, right? So this is basically called JSON response. Now, what is JSON? Now, JSON is just the language through which software speaks, right? So any API call that you're gonna make, there's always the response will be into JSON. Now, JSON response would usually look like this, okay? So this is the records, this is the ID, this is the variables, everything else. Now, one more thing that I forgot to mention is that all the JSON this will be the variables, and this will be the content inside, the value inside those variables. So what are these variables? Where does the variable come from? These variables are exactly where what you write over here, or what the company already provides. So for example, this is a fresh desk documentation. Now these are the variables, right? So this are you can call it attribute as well, or variables, whatever you like. Now if you write the variables correctly, then it will send the information in this section only, right? It won't send the information to any other section. So it basically confirms that your information is going to the right place. Plus, one more thing is that is this response is the JSON usually look like in this curly brackets that you can see, this type of brackets and this type of brackets. Now it's very simple to understand. I mean, you might think this is code, but this is not actually code. If you actually look, it's very simple to very simple to understand. This is just your name, your email address, your anything. There is nothing very special about it. So enough about JSON. Now let's learn how you can make a post call with the help of different APIs. Now we are not going to use Airtable because it's very simple to make API calls to Airtable, but we're going to use a somewhat higher end, that's going to be Freshdesk. Now what is Freshdesk? Freshdesk is a customer support software for e-commerce brand that people usually e-commerce brand companies use. One of my clients use as well. Now why Freshdesk? Freshdesk allows us to create tickets for customers who have any questions. Now what we're going to do is now post the information to create a ticket inside that Freshdesk. Now how can we do it? So we have to make a post call into Freshdesk APIs, and that will directly create a ticket inside that. So how gonna do? So the first step, as I told you, go to the Freshdesk developer page. Now this has to be the one of the major step while making API calls. Just read the documents. They are very simple to understand. You don't have to be a very techy expert guy. This is the developer page. Go to APIs, and here you will be able to see now sometimes some documents can be very tricky, but most of the documents very simple. And tickets. So if you go to ticket section, now you'll be able to create a ticket. Now this is how the dashboard of Freshdesk look like. So let me just open that real quick for you guys. Freshdesk.com. Now this is how the dashboard of Freshdesk actually looks like. You can see there are several tickets on Freshdesk built. Now this is what we call tickets, right? So wherever, let's say, a person, I received a broken TV. Hi, at the television. Now this Freshdesk ticket came in via email address. So as you can see, this is the email that the company received. Now this is just for example one. As you can see, this is a fake one. Now what we're going to do is create a Freshdesk ticket with the help of a chatbot. Now the chatbot that I'm going to use is going to Chatbotbuilder AI, right? And we're going to make an API call to Chatbotbuilder AI to Freshdesk, and then after that we're going to make an API call to Airtable with there will be get and post API calls. So head over to Chatbotbuilder AI. Now this is just like a chatbot tool, which will it is a chatbot that will allow me to create API stuff. Okay, so now I'm into Chatbotbuilder.ai, right? So what I'm going to do, the first step is reading the documents, right? So I need to create a ticket in this. So I'm going to go to the create a ticket. Now there is nowhere mentioned on how the API call should actually look like. Well, actually it is mentioned on the top, but it's very, very difficult to identify. Okay, you're not able to find anything, but you don't have to worry because you will be able to find a curl request everywhere in most of the API documents. Okay, so if I go to tickets again, right, and so I head over to tickets, and if I go to tickets, it will give me all the variables. So I would like to create a ticket, and if I scroll down, there will be some example curl code will be there, and what you can do is make a good use of this example code curl. Okay, now how you can use this code curl? Now create a ticket with custom fields. This is how you can do without a custom fields, and etc, etc. Right, so what I'm going to do is copy this sample code curl. So I'm just going to copy this, head over to Postman. Now this will be a post request. I'm going to create a new record. I'm going to create a post request, and I'm going to paste that whole curl over here, right, and import into collection. So the reason why we pasted everything in the import section, because it can be very, very difficult for people to understand about this, because when you get used to it, it's very easy to do, but it is complex software. It's a complex API call, right? I'm just going to copy the curl. So whenever you see a curl over there, you just have to copy it. Otherwise, it can be difficult. Now, as you can see, people will be kind of confused. Okay, what type of API authorization is this? We just did bearded one, and what is this? This is quite confusing. Well, don't worry, you just copied, so it will automatically, if you go to authorization, it will be automatically selected, right? The password is X because there's an X post, and this is your API key. You will paste here. That will automatically be filled. Now, content type is application JSON. That is mentioned here as well. Now, a lot of people won't understand like where should I actually put it. So Postman actually does it for you with no issues. Now here we talk about the URL. Now this is the body. Now we're going to learn about the body as well. Well, it's very simple. I just explained you what JSON is. The whole body is written here in JSON. And hello authorization. Now here the post. So the URL where you can find the URL simply says that you would have to add domain.freshtest.com. So the domain should be your company's domain, right? So this is literally says lunaxai.freshtest.com. So this is my company's domain address. So I'm going to add this. Control C, and I'm going to paste it right over here instead of domain. And I need to find my API key. So how am I supposed to find it? So I'm going to go to help desk again, my fresh desk again. Go to my profile ID, profile settings, and I will be able to view my API key. This is how easy it is to make an API key, okay? And this is my API key. Okay, I'm gonna delete the account anyway, so good luck trying copying this. Anyways, now I will head back to Postman API. I will go to authorization, and I will paste my API key right over here. Okay, my bad. I will go to I had to copy this mail, and I will just paste it over here. And body. Now, what is this body? Like, why this is quite confusing. Like, if there is any changes in any of this content, you will be able to see by the green mark over here, right? Now, hide auto-generated one. Now, content type application JSON. If you see that in the API responses and the application in the documents, you need to add it always in the headers. And one more thing that I forgot to mention is that whenever you create an authorization, it also goes in under headers. Let me show you how it goes. So authorization, it automatically goes under headers, and the reason why it goes automatically under headers is that because some of the API blocks, they do not have an authorization section, they only have header section, and you can go and paste your API keys over there instead of finding the authorization section. Body. Now what is this body can quite be confusing one. Okay, so the body is just a JSON response that we have. Now all we need to do is that send the JSON response to the software. Now we just need to make sure that when we are making a post request, right, we make this variables to match exactly the one that we have over here. So as you can see, we can add the name of the user requester, you can add the email address of the user, you can add the phone number, but anything up by your own self. Now, the reason why it's that because it's gonna show you error because there is no space for something new over there because these are some selected places. Now, also reading the reason why reading the document is very important is like, as you can see, there are some there's a cross icon over there and there's a star icon over there, and the reason why it's there because it says in the bottom that any of the 5 attribute is mandatory. So the one which who has a cross over here, like any of attributes is necessary, like any one of them. So I'm going to use email as a response, and I'm gonna use what I'm gonna use. I'm gonna and it okay. The stars are going to the permanent, so it should be there. Otherwise, it may show some errors which you don't necessarily want. Okay, now we'll go back to the postman. Now, since you understood what are these variables or description, so you will add the description about the issue. So I've been suffering. Okay, I've been suffering from stomach issue. Okay, description, you will explain what the description is basically say. We will tell about what the ticket is about. So I got a damaged PC, order number is 2024. Now subject is damaged product. Email is I would like to use my email address, so put on @lunaxai.io. Now priority is 1, status is 2. Now how did I get this priority status to 1? Because it is already mentioned in the document that by default it's going to be 1 or 2. You can, if you don't have any idea what it is, you can just keep it at the default one. And I don't want to send the copy to this anyone, so I'm just gonna remove these guys, but make sure that you remove 1 comma as well. There is no extra comma. And I don't want custom fields as well because first thing, it's not necessary for me, but I don't want it. Yeah, so I'm very picky. Now I just remove. Now there is nothing ahead, so I'm going to remove the comma as well. And let's see if this actually works or not. I'm going to send this, click on send, and let's see if this shows an error. So yeah, it didn't show any error. Like right as you can see, it shows 201 created status 201 is created reply. Okay, one more thing that I forgot to mention, there are different status, right? So if your API call shows a response 200 and close to 200 in green, it means your API call was successful, right? But if it shows something 400 500, it means there's an error that you need to fix, right? So this is how you make API calls with very easily. Now how you can make this API calls in Vopceflow and other platform, so let's do it. Okay, I'm on chatbotbuilder.ai. now I'm gonna make an API call directly to fresh test. I'm going to create a ticket with the help of this software. Okay, so I'm going to head over to Chatbotbuilder.ai. Now this is just a platform like Vopceflow, but I think it's better for me because it's very simple to build anything on this platform. So I'm going to create a new API request and external API request. Okay, I'm going to click on this. Now we're going to put everything what we put there over here, but we need to make sure that we put it as a variable because we need to change it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the whole platform and I'm going to paste it right over the URL that here. Make sure to switch it to post. If you put it to get, you will think like what's wrong with me. And in the headers, as I mentioned, okay, so go to headers. Make sure the headers that your authorization is over there. Authorization, you won't find the authorization specifically in this chatbot building platform in a different section, but instead you will find in headers. Okay, so you're gonna paste the authorization field in over there. So I'm gonna paste it over there, and I'm gonna wait. I will have to view this up. I'm gonna paste my API key over just close to it. So validation is this one, and my content type is application JSON. I just need to reduce you. I'm really sorry, bro. Okay, so content type is application JSON and can be application as well. Application JSON and response mapping. Now this is a post request, right? So the body, now body, as you know, we just created the body that we need to send it. So we're gonna copy this real quick, Control C, Now, and I'm gonna head over to body. I'm gonna click on JSON. So I explained to you what JSON is. Basically, it's a language that that software speaks with, right? So, I mean, APIs is the tool, but JSON is the language. So any API call that you make, but JSON will be the response that you're gonna have. Now, I'm gonna paste it over here, and I got damaged PC. Now, okay, see, now the problem is it's going to be static, right? I don't want it to be static because I want people, whenever they fill in the products or fill in the information, I would like to change it because why would I send the same ticket all the time? I would like to change it upon what they fill. So I'm going to check what I'm collecting. So I'm collecting their full name. So I'm storing it in a variable named as full name. I'm collecting their email address. So this is their email address, and I'm collecting their issue, like what issue they actually have. So I'm gonna use those variables right over here. So that's gonna be the full name. No, I'm gonna okay, here I will have to mention the issue because this is a description. Is it? Okay. I'm not collecting the damage, so or the issue. I'm just gonna write it as a static one. I'm not using a variable over here. And email, I'm gonna change that. So that should be email, and priority is 1, status 2, we don't need it, not necessary for us, and that is it. What else do we need? Nothing else. I was we were collecting their name, we got their name, we can add their name as well. So how we can add it is comma space name, and then we're going to use a variable over here that's going to be the full name. So full name. Now make sure your JSON is perfectly built. Otherwise, one thing I would still prefer is always test. So go to test now and select on test. And if it shows 200, okay, the status code is error. Validation failed. Now validation showed us an error. Why it showed us? Field email, it should be the valid email address format. Yeah, understood. The reason why it showed an error because we have not sent any email yet, right? So I'm going to change it to Puran Dark. Let's see if this actually Puran@gmail.com, just for testing. I'm not let's see, and yeah, it's perfectly working. So I'm gonna change back into the variable. So that's gonna be email. Perfect. I'm gonna select the email and I'm gonna click on save. Okay, so I just edited the JSON. Right now it showed an error, so I just told ChatGPT to fix my JSON, and I'm gonna click on publish. And let's test it if this actually works or not, and this creates the tickets in my flash desk or not. So without wasting any time, okay, I'm gonna go back. Okay, I'm gonna delete this one because we made an API call for test, so it just got created automatically, which we don't need. And I'm gonna delete it. Okay, let's test on how the system actually works, right? And it's gonna ask for my name, so I'm gonna say that okay, Abhishek, because of I'm gonna say James Arthur, and it's gonna come to my email address, james@gmail.com, and I got a damaged product with unnecessary information, which is very irrelevant. I would not like any of my customer to have this. Okay, let's see if this actually works. So I'm gonna go to help desk. I'm gonna refresh it. Let's see if this created a product or not. So I think there's a small error. I think might have happened. We should be able to receive an API call again. Okay, so we did not receive. So there's a small error I think that happened to it. Did we make sure to publish it? I think so. Okay, I need to fix the email address. So email or there are two, which is not necessary at all. And I'm going to click on save. I'm going to click on publish again. Let's see if this actually is correctly working or not. I'm going to refresh this. Okay, so I'm going to refresh the page and it's success. And my name is James Arthur. It's James, no, at gmail.com, because I'm changing the email address to see if this actually get an error or not. And I got a damaged product because information. Let's see if this worked or not. So there is a new ticket. Awesome. I'm going to refresh this and perfect. Yeah. So as you can see, it worked nicely the way we wanted it to be. I just messed up with the variables over here, so you can fix it like you want. Well, because I have to make it everything in a one video. uh, Now, let's learn how to make a get call with the help of the API block in Vopceflow. Okay. Now, the reason why I'm using Vopceflow because I need to be very clear that I use both softwares, but I use Chatbotbuilder AI more than Vopceflow. So I'm going to use Vopceflow for this to make a get call to directly Airtable, and then whenever I make a call, I need to store that response into a specific variable. So let's do that real quick. Okay, now what we're gonna do is create an get call to Airtable with the help of Shopify, or no, with the help of Vopceflow. I'm really sorry. So what we're gonna do is create logic that's gonna be API call, and here we'll do the same thing like we did when Chatbotbuilder AI. So we're gonna head over to Postman, and what we're gonna do is find the specific one that we did, so the API Airtable one. Yeah, so this is the one I think we did. James Johnson at the .com. I'm quite confused. Is it the one? I think this is the one, right? Yeah, exactly. This is the one. So what we're gonna do is copy the one from here, and I'm gonna copy everything over here, and I'm gonna paste it right over here, which we don't necessarily need. So where is that go? And Donabella support, and this is done. Now we don't necessarily need, I think, two of variables over here. So what we're gonna do, or maybe we can have it. So let me do one thing. So now we would like to use a different order number all the time. So let's see. Let's switch it to order ID. And it's james.james.com to be the email. So it is going to email that is username. Okay, perfect. Now headers will be the parameters, the API solution that we made. So I'm going to head over to Postman, and I'm going to go to the authorizations. Well, authorization is not needed because we switched it to headers. And if you go to headers, authorization is going to be this one. Paste authorization, and it's going to be the hierarchy. See, now we're gonna make a request. So it's gonna ask for the order number. So there's gonna be, let's try any random one. We didn't Airtable. Yeah, so you can see this is my Airtable real quick, and I'm gonna give the random number. So this is gonna be 3003. So where did this Vopceflow go? Okay, Vopceflow, there you are. 3003. Let's see the email address. That's going to be order.com at example.com. Okay, paper.com, and send a request. Let's see if we get a request okay or not. So 500 internal servers. So we just had an internal server. We just found a small error happening over here, and I have no idea why it's happening, but we can make work around it. Right? Let's send request. I think, yeah, there's something off with the variables, I guess. I'm not sure about that. Well, let me see that. We're going to be order ID, and this should be my email. So user email, and let's test if it actually works. Now it works crazy good. I don't know what's wrong just happened. I think I messed up with something, some variables. So that is working perfectly now. And now what we need to do is, since we got this response as a response from Vopceflow, right? So what we need to do is copy this. Now we need to find the path of the JSON. So I'm going to go to JSON path finder, and I'm going to paste that whole JSON response over here. Now, what this website will do is give me the specific path for the record. Now, this works with uh, Chatbotbuilder AI as well. So, if you'd like to store that in a specific variable, you can do that. So, I got my response over here. Now, I would like to show their tracking URL. So, I'm just going to copy this from two records, okay, and copy this, head over to here, and I'm going to paste it as capture response, enter key, select a variable as store it in local. I have created one already, so this is the local, and I'm gonna see if this actually works or not. So I'm gonna play with it. Now, are we recording in a variable? So we have a variable already created, and we got the API response and the help JSON, and we found the path on JSON, right? So, and then this is the path. So and if you're making any API call, you can use this path and then paste it right above the capture response, right? It works with Chatbotbuilder AI as well. Now, this is have the same setup, and we're gonna publish. Let's see, we are publishing again. I'm gonna ask a random password. It's 3009. Yeah. Oh shit! I've not added one more thing. That is going to be the email address. So I mean, search email address real quick, and again, listen, capture, and then we will reply. User email. Am I storing it? Email. Perfect. So let's play this real quick. The order number is 3009. 3009. Send. And the email address is Sophia Garcia. Send. And it should be able to get order is this one. And well, even though this is a fake URL, it's not going to work because exactly, but as you can see, this is going to the same URL. Now, that is it for the video. If you have any question, I'll be personally helping you with the comments below. Please feel free to ask. I think I've covered every single topic about how to make API calls. And I think after making an API call by your own self, you're going to learn everything about it. So, and you want to be an automation expert after real quick. So that is it. See ya.